So, lads, today we're going to be talking about something that I always need to talk about it because I feel that while a lot of people are saying it's best to ignore this scenario, I think it has to be spoken about because I think it is a horrible look for the entire league. It really is. And it's a lot of situations when it comes to the WNBA media. Before we get on to things, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to hit 40,330 by the end of the day. We're 19 subscribers off. But anyway, what we are talking about right here is we're going to be talking about Caitlin Clark. And it's going to be a situation where, well, not even just around her. It's nothing really to do with her play. It's as much as anything just to do with the whole narrative surrounding her. And I think unless the WNBA put a stop to this, I think it gives ammo to the people that are like, the WNBA want Caitlin Clark to fail, the WNBA bad, WNBA this. It gives ammo to the anti-WNBA people. So today I saw on Twitter a WNBA, quote-unquote WNBA journalist, known Caitlin Clark hater, basically fraternizing with somebody that is, for lack of a better word, unhinged, but has called Caitlin Clark a school plus what she does in basketball from really deep. Referred to her as that. And in the comment, referring to Caitlin Clark realistically with a racist insult. And in responding positively to a post that starts from an unhinged person that starts with a racist insult towards Caitlin Clark. Or at least an insult based on her race, if you don't want to go daft, if you don't want to use the ist word. That's the reality of the situation. And then you're seeing this NBC reporter responding positively, and not only that, just responding with lies. It's like, this is the same person that when Caitlin Clark, when the Fever were bad at the start of the year, was tweeting out being like, everyone talking about the schedule. This is a team that had back-to-back number one overall picks. They're not meant to be good. And then she was doing her victory lap when Caitlin Clark didn't make the Olympics team. She did a victory lap when she didn't make the team. And then as better the Fever got, the quieter this person got. And now changing the narrative like, oh, Caitlin Clark, the Fever were supposed to be competing for a title. So like the Fever weren't even as good as expected. And it's like, obviously, when we're talking about basketball, changing narratives in basketball, that happens all the time. But we are seeing, I'm just saying this right now, if any journalist that was not or if any journalist responded in a positive way to a post insulting another WNBA player based on their race, that journalist, the WNBPA, would already have an article released saying that journalist needs to lose their credentials. But if Caitlin Clark is on the end of the insults based on race, you are allowed to interact with that. You are allowed to post about that. We've even got like a coach who's interacting with like WNBA media, who's interacted with players who I've seen call Caitlin Clark a Mayo princess when she won the award. And it's like, I'm sorry, like, so these type of stuff, it's a racist insult. Like, and even if you don't want to go, and if you don't want to use the ist word, it's an insult based on race. It's the same fucking thing. Like, but the thing is that from the WNBA's perspective, any of those insults directed towards Caitlin Clark is fine. Because you better believe, if the roles were reversed and it was any other player, and I'm not even saying player of a different race, any other player, period, where somebody said that about them and a journalist from anywhere responded in a positive way, almost like in a normal way, their credentials would be gone. And this person's going to probably be on TV for the whole next WNBA season. And that is the issue with this whole thing, is that the WNBA themselves, or networks, and all these things, because the WNBA was a club. There were very few people covering the WNBA, which is why you can get the people talking about there being an ominous vibe in Indiana during games. People saying that, like, journalists going out there saying they felt scared because of all the kids in Indiana supporting Caitlin Clark. Journalists saying they were scared to be around kids cheering. They were like, every time they scored, there was an ominous atmosphere when they scored. It's like, you're so used to not cheering that you're scared from that. And it's like, they can write stuff like this and they're still credentialed. But like, they will do whatever they can to cancel anyone that kind of says anything in another way. The people that are anti-Caitlin Clark are untouchable. And the biggest issue I have with this whole thing is that whether it be Swoops, who is literally has a podcast ran by the WNBA that the WNBA are promoting. The WNBA were promoting Cheryl Swoops' podcast during Caitlin Clark's games all of last year. And in Cheryl Swoops' podcast, she implied Caitlin Clark was of equal importance as Katie Lou Samuelson to the Indiana Fever. Like, Cheryl Swoops wasn't even, there's still silence. Like, she still has it out for her. She still does, and the WNBA are going to promote Cheryl Swoops. It's like the NBA itself promoting Skip Bayless. The NBA would never do that. Because they know, okay, these people exist. And that's the reality of the situation. And again, it is one thing for the networks, if you're hiring these people, as Skip Bayless. And everybody knows Skip Bayless is just a LeBron hater. He's just an entertainment figure. But these people are being hired as analysts. And two, if Skip Bayless ever responded positively on Twitter to a post insulting LeBron based on his race, Skip Bayless wouldn't be allowed on TV the next day. He'd already be fired. And that's the reality situation. It's like, I don't care about this person's basketball takes. I don't even care if you're purely talking basketball if you're anti-Caitlin Clark. Because at the end of the day, people are going to be pro, people are going to be against whoever basketball-wise. Like, there are literally people saying that Nikola Jokic is too heavy to play basketball and he's the best freaking player in the world right now. Like, people can have dumb basketball takes and that's never really an issue. You can have wrong basketball takes. You can change the narrative. Heck, Stephen A. Smith literally changed the narrative about the Oklahoma City Thunder within 3 hours. Within the start of the NBA Cup final to the end of the NBA Cup final, he was saying opposite things about the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that can happen, and that's fine. But the reality is that there is a double standard, and it's like the people that are, I'll always say this, it's like there are people on two ends of the extremes. There's the Whitlocks of the world, and then there's the nut jobs of the world there's the Whitlock type nut jobs, and then there's the other person type nut jobs. I'm not even going to give their name. But they're on both spectrums, but they're, for lack of a better word, borderline unhinged. And the problem with the WNBA is that what should happen is a lot of these networks, unless it's for a debate show where the reason they're being hired is for entertainment as much as anything, they should be, realistically, in terms of their sanity level, somewhere down the middle. You're going to get people on either side of that, but you should never have an extreme one side or the other. And the problem is that the vast majority of the people that were hired in WNBA media are on the opposite, not the Whitlock side, but the far side of nut jobs. And we're going to see it more and more. And it is very, like, these people getting pushed on TV and everything. For lack of a better word, it's like, you're bait as much as anything. The WNBA continuing to allow these people have their credentials, allow these people to be working for networks, these networks promoting these people as the WNBA analysts and stuff. All for me that it has shown is that hate towards Caitlin Clark will be rewarded. And not hate towards Caitlin Clark as a player. Hate towards Caitlin Clark as a person. And not because of her actions. Hate towards Caitlin Clark because of her race is allowed. That is all that I've found out from the WNBA media. Because the reality is that if you want to look at the people that the people at WNBA are pushing, in fairness, a lot of the time on ESPN, when you're looking at independent things, a lot of it's fine. Some of the podcasts and stuff are fine. And again, you can disagree with people as far as basketball takes. But interacting with the person who said Caitlin Clark was the school plus SHOOTER, don't want to be demonetized, and interacting positively with that person and responding in a positive way to a post with a racial insult based with Caitlin Clark is not okay. And the fact that, if I can guarantee you, if you scroll further, that these are happening all the time. It's not right. It's just not right. And this is a league that is meant to be inclusive. And I think until this type of stuff changes, I think it is safe to say that the WNBA is not an inclusive league. It's just not. Because if the star of their league is not, especially when we look at, let's just say, the bullying of Sabrina Ionescu by the media for years. Like, until something changes. And like, by the way, I'm not even going to say that that's the case. I'm not going to make this accusation of the WNBA. But I think if you take all the evidence and look at everything that's happened around the WNBA, the people that, everything's happened with the PA, everything's happened with the players, everything that's happened with the media, what they're allowing, what they're not allowing. If you came to the conclusion that the WNBA has it out for Caitlin Clark, I don't think I could convince you otherwise. It's that the case. I think that the majority of people aren't gonna argue that the WNBA is out for Caitlin Clark. And I'm not even going to argue it. I don't think the WNBA are out for Caitlin Clark. But if you do, I'm not going to argue. Because everything we've seen the last year, there is enough evidence that it's getting harder and harder to argue that conspiracy theory is wrong. Because, like, I'm even questioning, is it even a conspiracy theory at this stage they're out for? Because every day, every week, we see hypocrisy in the league. We see double standards. And we see people in high enough positions in terms of the media going at number 22 for Iowa for stuff that she's not doing or she's not saying. But they will make sure as hell they'll do everything they can to break that 22-year-old. And these people are still getting opportunities while the WNBA are still probably trying to get Christine Brennan to lose her job. It is what it is.